Hi, my name is Christopher Kusek, a technology evangelist with EMC and VMware vExpert, and this is my colleague Daniel Nerenberg, who is a MVP of virtualization. What we're going to do is give you an introduction to virtualization today, and in clear, concrete terms that you can take and use to understand virtualization as a whole.
So, what I'm doing here is I'm drawing a very basic model of how a typical computer system works. So we have hardware, we have operating system. On top of that, we have your applications. And on top of that, we have user data. So today we're going to focus on what is abstraction. And that's kind of a key term when we talk about virtualization. So, basically, abstraction is lying. We're going to lie to the operating system and we're going to lie to the hardware. How do we achieve that? Well, when we use Microsoft Hyper-V, which is an abstraction layer, also known as a hypervisor. So we'll draw that on the board here. And that's Hyper-V, that's our hypervisor. This slots in between the hardware and the operating system and essentially lies. So now we have this layer here that's abstracting the operating system from the hardware. It's taking messages from the operating system. When it says, hey, I need to send something to the CPU to process, the abstraction layer, the Hyper-V hypervisor, takes that message, says, well, I'll get that to a processor, and the OS thinks I've handed it off to a processor. Meanwhile, the hardware is waiting for messages from the operating system, and hypervisor turns around and says, hey, this message is from an operating system. Here, go and process this. So this nice little layer right here separates out that piece. Now we can take an operating system, and if we have to get this to a new hardware over here, we can easily transition this operating system because we've decoupled the dependence of the operating system on the hardware. So now, as things change, as you add memory, or as there's failure, so let's say this whole machine fails, we can take this operating system along with all the apps and the data, and we can quickly re-provision out to new hardware in order so that our main apps and our key pieces here are moved over. So, what does that look like, and why would we use virtualization? Chris, let's see what you can tell us about that.
What we have here is a basic representation of a physical infrastructure. So what we have here is I've got 6 individual servers, each of them accommodating what you would see as a common workload. As you'll notice, the penny is representing a 1% workload, as a majority of physical servers are running at 1% or less as far as it goes from CPU efficiency, often memory utilization, as well as storage utilization, as storage, memory, and CPU will tend to be more or less wasted. You'll occasionally have a higher workload, so we've got this 10% workload over here, and a 25% workload. But through the power and benefits of virtualization, we're able to take each of these physical boxes and turn them into virtual instances, which allows us to consolidate them onto a single physical piece of hardware. So in this case, I've been able to take the workload, what was once accommodated across 4 physical boxes, onto one physical box running 4 virtual machines. As well, now non-disruptively, I'm able to move these other machines over there. At that point, I'm able to reclaim this hardware, whether I'm going to repurpose it to fulfill other means, maybe make it into a virtual infrastructure, additional virtual servers, or I can decommission it. The benefits this gives us is, once we have a virtual infrastructure laid out within our organization and all of our machines are effectively decoupled from the hardware as we showed in the abstraction layer, we have the ability to non-disruptively move virtual machines around. So I can move my workload around as necessary. And it's as simple as that. I don't have to worry about what type of hardware I'm running on at that point, and seamlessly, in the background, without any interruption to users, move data around, move users around, and continue having my systems operational, and while leveraging more efficiency. So in this case, I have one virtual server, which perhaps is being used for test dev, only running at around 2% utilization. And over here, I've got a system running at 37% utilization. I have nothing but room for growth. And just out of that, I've removed 4 physical servers from my infrastructure.
And that is a basic explanation of what is virtualization. There's a lot more topics out there. We encourage you to check out all the information that's out there on blogs, all across the internet. Do a quick search, check out Chris's blog, check out my blog. It's all up on itgrandprix.com. And what we've hoped that we've showed you is not only a little bit about what's virtualization, but how you can use the tools and the little props around you to do a quick demo of how it is you can explain these sometimes complicated concepts, but in a way that anyone can really quickly pick them up. Thanks, and have a great day.